Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is a little bit of a turn up for the books. We are Speaker Insight, where we help speakers, authors, and coaches to build a business on your terms. And my name is Helena.
And I'm Kelly.
And Kelly is currently sharing out this wonderful live that we are doing, which normally happens about 4 hours prior to this. So we're having a go at combating the fact that the time changes have happened. So we are having to do lighting in all
Oh
sorts
my
of ways.
God, I've got my ring light on for the first time this year. It's horrible.
It's just no fun whatsoever. But we are actively accommodating the wonderful Jason Antalek, and I will let him introduce himself in a moment. But you know the drill for those of you, and I'm pleased to see that there are 4 of you joining us live. So thank you for that. You're used to 1 o'clock; it's now 5 o'clock, and for those of you who are watching at whatever time you're watching overnight in the global environment that we're in, welcome to you too. And please do a hashtag replay because we love a little bit of hashtag replay. Hi, Brett. Hi. Oh, very nice to see you. So it may actually be, who knows what might happen. It may be that more of you join us at this time, and Kelly and I need to change our ways. Who knows what might happen? But we have a real treat in store because we're going to be talking today about digital speaking engagements and how you might actually benefit from that, how you might actually look at what you're doing to organize yours and pick up a couple of tips here and there. So before we do that, obviously, for those of you who know the drill, what's the buzz in your business? Hey, Joe. What is the buzz in your business? What's exciting? What's happening? What is intriguing or inspiring you that is coming up or that has maybe just happened? So please put those in the comments. Kelly has now shared out the link to the Connection Hub because the buzz in our business is about 10 minutes before we went live. We now have inside the Connection Hub, which is where all the conversations take place. So if you're a speaker, author, coach, you definitely want to be in there. If you're someone who helps speaker, authors, and coaches, you definitely want to be in there because it's really the place where the conversations take place. And it just hit at about 10 minutes to 5 here. It just hit 8,000 members. So congratulations. Woohoo!
We will have
Congratulations.
a special gift for our new member who is our eighth. We always release new features when we get to member milestones, and 8,000 is one for us. We give the person who's our 8,000 member a little secret gift. So we'll be messaging that person. I think her name was Rita from Sweden, was it? Someone like that?
So Rita Chudnovskaya. I hope I've said that correctly.
How did you do that?
But there'll be a gift in the post to you, and then watch out in the hub for some new features that we're launching now we've hit this member milestone.
Yeah. So it's really good. So before we actually get you to talk about yourself and why we've got you on here, Jason, what's the buzz in your business?
I love the fresh opportunities, all the new things that are available. It's like opening up a box. You know, you get those boxes monthly, and you just kind of never know what's in them. And now it's almost like every week has that. So the positive attitude and the reach that speakers have right now, and the different things that they're coming up with, just within our association, I have so many people kind of just adding little tweaks, right? Like using their backgrounds differently, or finding new ways to present their slides so they're not the little piece, they're on the big screen with it, and they got this cool backdrop, or just so many gadgets, the technology is moving forward, and it's fun to get to leverage it.
Oh, I'm delighted. And we're, of course, going to be sharing. So this is like spoilers for all of you. We're going to be sharing about one of those in a little while. So Brett's actually saying that he's launching the final episode of the 21st Century Leadership podcast tomorrow.
Nice.
So exactly what you're just talking about, Jason. It's this whole...
I know Brett's had some awesome guests on that podcast. I know some of the people that he's interviewed, so I know that's definitely a good one. Brett, put the link in the comments for people to check that podcast out, definitely.
For sure.
And just what you were saying, Jason, I know Helena was having a call with one of our members called John the other day, and he's basically talking about how he's using improv and all these types of things. He used to be a history teacher or something, and now he's bringing this into his workshops to bring them alive. So this is what we're talking about today, is this whole, you know, the world has changed. The world of speaking has changed. It's not died. People don't need to go like, you know, Boris Johnson and think they need to
hide
with something else, because you can still have a job as a speaker.
Yeah.
But it's also about thinking about the benefits and how you adapt. And adapt's quite a key word, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah.
It is a key word. Adapting your impact is important.
What have you got coming up, Jason? I'm going to put a link in the comments.
Oh, wow, we went there quick. I love it. I recognized that it is really important for people to have access to some information on how to make those changes. And I don't want to use the goofy list of words that have been associated since, you know, March and April. But it really is about reinventing yourself in some way. And it isn't just our current climate. It's always like that.
Yeah.
Right. It never really stops. If you think about musicians or actors, they always have to do that. You get older, the scene changes, the people you serve get older, you move on from things that you do in your business, and you evolve. So having an opportunity to reinvent or to make those new moves, to make adjustments, is really important. So I came up with a Public Speakers Association conference. Because I didn't want my first year at the helm to go without a conference, and I went with the theme called "Adapt Your Impact."
Yeah,
and that I chose the theme and that approach because not only is it important for public speakers to have a place to work, if you will. If it's really work, it's kind of like Disneyland on stage, right? But but still having an opportunity to take a look at what's happening and what other folks are doing and who's successful and how they're stepping out and what their thoughts are about change. And in a full year of that, applying that brings you back around to doing it again. Right?
Sure.
So adapting your impact, coming up next month, November 9th through 11th, it's focused on insight, magic, and action. Day one is all about how you kind of come to terms with where you are, regardless of what that is. It's not judgment, right? It's about questioning ourselves as much as this is where I am.
Yeah.
And day two is the magic, pulling back the curtain, telling folks the things that the industry keeps on under wraps, right? Really getting a chance to talk to Oz yourself. And day three is about action. What do you do with the information? How do you apply it? What are your next steps? Because that's where we come amiss, whether we're doing this in person or we're doing it virtually or both. That's what happens, is we don't have our next actions prepared. Right. And to me, that progression was really important. So depending on where you are in your business, all three of those days can be applicable. But you could show up for part of one day and still gain a ton out of it. Right. And that was really the focus of why I chose that theme and those specific theme days. So I'm excited to have it come to fruition.
For sure.
We will go into a little bit more depth about the conference, not only of how PSA can support speakers in this changing times, but also what they get from the conference and how the conference is run, because this is another thing that we're going to talk about in this live, is actually about the digital platforms and how, the whole Zoom fatigue thing, how that's now an issue, and how you're actually overcoming this, and how our speakers can actually learn from that too. So I've put a link into the comments for people that want to check it out straight away, and they're so looking forward to this conference. Thank you, Jason. So you can register for free. There are VIP tickets, but you can register for free on that link. And then obviously, check it out more. But we'll go through.
We're going to extract some information from Jason before we do that I think a lot of you my hope is that all of you kind of stay really open to what else is possible. So, I love that question more than anything. So, what else is possible for how you are showing up? So, whether it's Zoom fatigue or whether it's how you are showing up as a speaker or where you could actually show up, because certainly in the last 6 months or so, digital platforms are shifting and changing. And, as with the needs kind of show up, some people in the background are actually working really hard on, well, what else can we do and how else can we help this industry? Because more than anything, and I'm going to say this from my heart to everybody listening, we need change makers. We need people who are able to share their insights, their magic, their impact in some way, because actually, more than anything, people are lost and confused, and we 9 times out of 10 have the answers. So we're going to share a lot about how you might use platforms differently. You might actually use opportunities differently. So be on the listen out for what could I do with the information that we share. So I'm going to go right the way back.
Ask any questions as we go along, guys, that you want to direct to Jason or any of us. But yeah, we'll read them out.
So I am going to do this just honor Brett as well, because we talked about reinvention, and so just before I ask you exactly who you are, Jason, reinvention, this is the core kind of reinvention. So this may be relevant for UK residents more so than anybody else, but I think most of you have heard of Bonfire Night. Well, Brett is actually hosting a Reinventing Work Bonfire Night special on Zoom next week. So I'm like, how do you do bonfires on Zoom? So I'm totally into that one. So that one aside, I'll leave your kind of minds exploding on that one. But Jason, I'm going to put the attention on you and just actually say, so we've mentioned the Public Speakers Association, the PSA, the fact that you've snuck in as the CEO and owner, and we've kind of hinted at all of these things. So please, will you backtrack a little bit and just tell us a little bit about you and the PSA, please?
Well, I'm not sure how far backtrack we want to go, so I'll give you the Jason Light version. I spent 20 years on the microphone as a DJ, and in lots of different forms. I had my own mobile DJ company, and I did everything from weekly events all the way up to large festivals, and participated in lots of different ways as an MC and that kind of thing. I was always comfortable in that space. I never really wanted to be the center of attention. I just wanted everybody to have a good time and enjoy what was happening and keep the flow. Right. Nice. That's always been kind of what satisfied me, what made me happy. And then a few years ago, I shifted in what I was doing and got a lot more on the metaphysical, spiritual platform, and grew in that space and discovered that speaking was something that I really enjoyed. It was a great way to get that message out. And like many things, when you get involved, you realize, man, this is massive. There's so many things to know. But fortunately, there's lots of folks out there that can help with that. Mm-hmm. And in my experience, I met Tanya Hoffman, who was the founder and CEO, owner at the time of the Public Speakers Association. Yeah. And her tutelage, her mentorship, the opportunities presented really helped me grow as a speaker and understand more about the business. Mm-hmm. Right? What are we really doing here? And how do you maintain success? Because right, we get bitten by the bug and we want to speak, and then to be successful at something, you've got to have some tools in place. And that's what the Public Speakers Association really provided for me personally. Yeah. And over time, working with Tanya, we started doing events together, attending, running. She flew out and hosted events with me. I traveled with her to the UK, which is how I met Kelly last year, which was really successful and a lot of fun. And the more I did those kind of things, the more exciting it got. And the more involved in touching lives and helping people was really, for me, very fulfilling. And an opportunity rose to acquire PSA in the beginning of this year. So in March, I stepped in and took over the helm. and it was a questionable ride to begin with.
How many days after you stepped in did COVID happen?
Oh, wow. Isn't that an interesting question? So I essentially, it's so funny because I was in Ohio, and I was speaking with Tanya. We were doing a summit, and that was on a Thursday. I was there for an event that started on Saturday. It was a Saturday, Sunday. And Thursday, everything started to shut down. That was like the 8th or 9th of March. And I was on a plane Friday morning, which was actually Friday the 13th, if I recall. And that's when everything was shutting down. And I've pretty much been home ever since.
Wow. It got cancelled. Everything got cancelled.
Yeah.
I think when they canceled Major League Baseball and basketball and hockey, I knew there was trouble, because sports in America, man, that's a real thing.
Unquestionable.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was an interesting development that week to see how some people got in front of it and reacted, and you could really tell who cared about what was happening and cared about the safety of people and put people before money. And I kind of took a mental note of that and realized, like, this is a chance where people are going to still need connection. They're going to need someone to talk to. Plus, taking over at that time for PSA meant everybody's easily accessible, at least for a short period of time.
Yeah.
So I was actually quite busy for about 6 weeks. I was that Zoom junkie and connecting and talking with everyone.
And I think
cancellations were crazy.
And this is key, Jason, because I know you are a people person, and that is, like, you know, the connection part of it is great. And it's great to have a CEO and an organization and an association like the PSA that has that as the core, because Tonya is the same, right? She's got connection at her heart, and people that have seen us interview her before.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I know that these last 6 months have been really busy for you, because it's new learning. You're adapting, you're listening to your audience, you're seeing what trends are, you're seeing what the needs are. How do you think that speaking engagements have changing or are changing since COVID happened? What are you seeing is the difference from the needs of the speakers and from the industry itself?
There's been a lot of different things happening, and it was kind of chaotic for a while. And a lot of folks were already poised, like we are with PSA, to leverage being online. And because we already, as an association, are connected internationally, we were already using the online platform. So it was easy for us to stay connected and to continue to provide opportunities within and outside the association. But one of the things I noticed, just at a human level, to be honest, is that some people really needed a break, and this was a perfect opportunity for that to happen. And some people took advantage of that and just said, "Okay, I'm done for a little bit." And then there were other people that were like, "Oh my God, everything is in front of me!" Right? The time I'm spending driving to the airport, I could be doing another event. So there were lots of extremes, and it was a little of everything in between. But to directly answer your question, what I really saw in the digital world was the accessibility and the availability. And a lot of top-end speakers were now willing to come down a little bit and do things they didn't do before. Okay. So it not only gave speakers access to more, but it gave
access
to them, in different ways. So it really was an institution of change for some time, and continues to be that way. Hybrid events, I think, are the way of the future. I don't think they'll ever go back to being just singularly in person.
No, I agree. I think there is an opportunity in confusion that everything gets so shaken up that you actually throw a whole bunch of things at something that then you start to sift out, oh, actually that doesn't work as well, but we really like this idea of that hybrid, exactly as you've said. We like a bit of this with a bit of that. And actually, what if we could create an even better event with more really specifically led people for the thing that we're actively doing, because people are now used to the online delivery as well as people kind of being in person. So I think there's, as you said, the word is really the opportunity that kind of sits in here. I really love that.
And just to add to that from two perspectives. So some people, when I've got my hat on, which is where I'm the trustee of the College of Psychic Studies in London, which is have I got an echo?
Not entirely, babe.
Oh, random. I can
right as you say psychics, and there's an
You are so cheeky. I love you, Jason.
My other dimensional self just echoing back. But because that's a college, since we've turned online and everything started to go digital, we used to just have our remit of people within the N25 that would actually turn up. Now, most lessons have got at least 14 different countries, people's represented. So it's expanded the audience dramatically, which has been like, oh my God, these people are like, I've always wanted to come to these courses, but I don't live in London. So that's one thing which I think is great, that when the people can still, when we go to this hybrid where there is a live event, but it keep it open so people can still watch digitally or whatever platform they're using. But I want to pick up on the other point that you said about these top speakers and they're being more available, more accessible. It's a question with my speaker, my Stellar Speakers agent hat on, where people are going, are speakers dropping their prices for digital engagements? And I'm interested to hear your view on this, Jason. But my two penneth that I say to people is that most people who are professional speakers, this is a different model to if you're speaking to sell from stage or lead generation. That's a different model to being a paid professional speaker. That you weren't being paid in the first time, so your availability has just gone through the roof, and you could really benefit
go anywhere.
From people who are professional speakers and they're paid. And most of my speakers are between the 10 to 40K a keynote. Some of them have reduced their prices, probably about 10 to 20%, mainly on the basis that there's no travel involved, because they were normally traveling half a day or a day to those events, and that takes up that price of traveling, right? Not the travel of cost of flying, but actually the time. So if you're reducing that, then your keynote can be reduced. But what we're also seeing is that what people aren't taking into consideration is these new keynotes that are coming are adapting to the times. So the preparation work that needs to go in to create that keynote is actually doubled, because it's not like the core element of their signature talk was there and they've adapted it. They've actually created completely new talks to adapt to this new environment and this new need. So most people are saying, actually, I'm doing more work for this new keynote. The other thing to consider is that people sometimes need technological support. So if they want to be really present and not wondering about Q&As and lighting, blah, 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 they might want a technical assistant in their living room with them to handle that. Well, that's a cost, okay?
Socially distanced, of course.
Big room.
Things to take into consideration. Just because you're delivering digitally does not mean that you're devaluing the content that you're delivering. So, and
the other thing on that is and there is the potential of having a wider audience or a larger audience that you might normally have had in a 100-person room or whatever it is, because actually the platforms allow you to have a wider audience, and that speaker may well be speaking to more people than they might normally have been booked for.
So what have you seen, Jason, on that from a fee point of view? Have you seen a difference to people that are in the PSA, or have they come
the types of gigs?
Well, there's a lot of it's about your mind flex, right? Because if you're stuck in looking at the cancellations, it's really easy to get caught in that. But if you look the other way and really see this as an opportunity, some speakers, in fact, our higher end speakers, actually found themselves to be more busy. They're the busiest they'd been in years, right? But for their own reasons. There was a period there that a lot of folks were shifting to online, and those people that can still deliver that way were very successful. But you're right about the preparation and the needs and the lighting and the new sound you got to think about, and how you can't show up the same way you do to your impromptu Zoom meeting to do a presentation, right? And it started out okay, and then I mean, just getting a hold of a camera went from $40 to $300.
Yeah, we saw that with the webcams. They were just out of stock.
Excuse me, basically overnight.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors. So I would agree with what you said, Kelly, about it came down a little bit, but simply because of the travel and the time. But the investment behind the scenes for keynote people, a lot of speakers think that this keynote person just suddenly turned into that overnight, and that didn't happen in the first place, right? They cut their teeth. They went through a lot of things that didn't work, and it's not that everything they touch is gold. It's just they adjust very quickly, right? And they're used to doing that, so they're able to make that adjustment and be successful because they're willing to take a look at the what's really happening. And I think that those speakers that stayed busy were in touch with who they are and what they're doing on a personal level, and that translated into their business and their presentations, right?
It's really interesting because Brett's just actually said a couple of things. So a little while ago, when we were talking about a specific thing, he was saying that he's definitely looking to live stream events in the future to reach people who can't possibly get there physically and to reach that global audience. But interestingly, exactly kind of highlighting what you're saying, that some people do find it difficult to migrate to an online environment, and those with good online skills are in greater demand. So it's all an opportunity. And the thing behind that is actually I think, because we have all become used to seeing people on Zoom, using screens for communication, our standards, right at the very beginning, we were okay with, it's this, it's that, it's cobbled together, it's got this background. And I think very swiftly over the kind of 4 to 5 months. So now we are expecting a much more polished performance. We're expecting people to know what they're doing. We're expecting good sound, et cetera, et cetera. So I think people's expectations have absolutely accommodated the times, whether they know it consciously or not. They absolutely are beginning to tell how it's different, which of course then means you need to put some really good things in. Kelly?
Yeah, and just what Brett's saying, because obviously those skilled people, that doesn't mean you're a good keynote speaker, obviously. No. But when you're doing online, it's completely different. It's actually reading the energy when you can't see the people that are there. So how do you do the engagement when you can't see them? And this is when you're learning, and we'll talk about platforms in a minute. Yeah. You learn how to use the platform that you're on to do polls, to do hands up, to get the question engagement, because actually that's most keynoters never speak to the audience. They're on the stage, it's like half an hour, they're done, they're dusted, the AV sorted all their stuff for them and they're gone. This is different now because those types of engagements don't work as well as a speaker when you're delivering online. You need to be able to have some sort of tap in to see how the audience is doing. You need to have some interaction. And these are new skills which speakers are having to learn, right?
Which is why I absolutely love the title of your Adapt Your Impact conference, because of course that makes complete sense. And so I'm going to bring us into the tech, partly because I'm a geeky goddess and love a little bit of this, and I actually really like this platform. So I know that in order to set this up and actually provide a really great experience, because you care, you researched a lot of platforms and you've settled on using Hoover to host the upcoming conference. Tell us why you chose that, and Kelly will put the link in.
Yeah, I'm going to put, just before you do that, I'm going to put a link of a few ones that Helena and I have used as well as Hoover, so that it gives people the choice. And this is not all the online platforms out there.
No, not by any stretch, right?
Oh man, there's so many to sift through.
Yeah. And we all know the Zooms and the StreamYards, but these are ones that are more for conference-led sort of based speaking engagements.
For sure.
So go for it. Tell us a little about the top one, which is Hoover.
Well, the what I faced initially was that PSA conferences had always been very successful in person. And I thought about, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get as close to that as possible, but also be realistic about what's available to us.
Mm.
And the difference between the squares and the bobbing head Zoom, 3 days on your butt watching a screen and messing with your video and trying, that first of all doesn't appeal to me personally. So I knew I wanted something different, and what I aimed for was a virtual experience. And there's so many opportunities that the internet presents to us, and this Hoover platform really elevates that and brings it all into one place. And I had so many questions about interaction and how are people gonna know about it? How are they gonna realize that this platform is useful? Why does it matter to them? And it answered all the questions of how do we go from a Zoom presentation to an actual experience. And Hoover provides before, during, and after opportunity for attendees, speakers, exhibitors to get involved. And you can already go to the platform and see who's speaking, check out the agenda, look at their booth, which is like the table in the back of the room kind of thing, right? And it offered so many opportunities that were instantly interwoven. Right? If you find a subject on the agenda that you really like, you can put it onto your personal agenda, and then you get a reminder, hey, this person's getting ready to present, so you can go and check it out, which is nice. But when you put that on your agenda, you also now have their speaker profile and their exhibitor booth right there at your fingertips.
It's amazing.
And that's leveraging the ability of the digital platform to get the information to people, right? And
how many times, Jason, have people been at a live event, seen a speaker on stage, gone, oh, what was that person's name? And then there's no brochure, and you don't know how to follow up with them, and there's no social link. So it's like great for the speaker that they actually make more of an impact.
Well, it's great for the speaker, but it also requires them to be that little bit more prepared and to have all their ducks in a row and to understand who is the audience in this crowd and what can I provide that actively does it, because you have the ability to do so.
But from an event manager point of view, Jason, it's a dream because you don't get people's bios 24 hours before the event because it's being promoted way before, right? So they need
right. And getting everybody signed in and then sending them links so that they can beef up whatever they need to.
Yeah.
Right. And you can look on the platform and see who's taking advantage of that. Yeah. And we have profiles that already have 50 or more visits, but 2 weeks before the event has even started. So this video that one of our speakers shared has been watched over 50 times before she even presents. And that's just beautiful.
But that for me is the key to all of this, because this is about a different preparation in how you run your business, in how you're actually showing up, because as we said, this isn't going away. People are developing platforms and developing all of this on the back of the feedback that's coming in. So it requires a whole new level of sort of skill set, if you like, as well as, Kelly and I talk a lot about creating a portfolio business on your terms, one that really has a range of digital products, as well as you being offline, online, and present and for consumption, if you like, without being there as such. So, there are all of these distinctions that happen, which is amazing. Nick Woods just said, different from speaking on stage for sure, but it actively means that you end up as a speaker taking much more charge of your of the interaction that you actively have. But you also have so much more ability to make that impact if you line up your ducks as such.
But the other bit, and this type of technology has been out for years, having run conferences, but what the platforms that we're talking about here is integrating all those bits. So before, if you were speaking on stage, you might be a really quite funky digital speaker 10 years ago and actually have apps where you could do a poll for the audience where they use their mobile phone on their opinions, and it will come up on your slide, and you'll be able to see opinions in the audience and get real life data, or get people to opt into your lead funnels from stage, and all these types of things. Now, that's like technology that used to be a bolt-on to professional speakers. Now we're using these platforms where these things, you know, you've got virtual booths, you've got before and after and everything like that. So I think I'm really welcoming this development.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun from every point of view, right? Whether you're an attendee or you're a speaker or you're an exhibitor or a sponsor, whatever role or multiple roles you're playing, it's this new toy box, right? This was Christmas Day to me. I opened up the Hoover and I went, oh, it does all the things.
Yeah,
it allows for interaction in real time.
Yes.
It allows for engagement in real time. And that's what really mattered to me.
And that's actually the thing that, you know, exactly as you say, it's not about sitting on your chair for 8 hours. It's actually about being able to do something inspiring with it, which really works. So Lisa's just actually cropped in with online events have been and are going to be huge. I've really enjoyed it and am definitely going to be running lots of events in the future. So one of the things that I was going to invite everybody here to, not only will there be great kind of value in the event, obviously Kelly speaking at it as well, so you might want to go and watch Kelly at it, you know, because I'm just going to say that because I can plug my friend, but I actually recommend that all of you who are listening to this go and sign up if you've not used as a participant something like this. You want to actually have the experience as a participant so that you can then switch into, from a speaker's perspective, what might I do for how would I translate what I normally do into using a platform like this, because it is about how you show up. So Kelly, you've put
the links in the comments. So the one, so it says learn more. No, I haven't put the link in recently. I'll put the link.
Pop it in again. Yeah.
People that have joined us later, so you can register for free for the upcoming conference, and you can get VIP tickets as well. But if you want to experience the platform and learn all the things from the professional speakers that are speaking, then I'd highly recommend.
So go on. You go, then I'll go.
I'm aware of
Jason,
time.
we just love you so much, and so you know, sort of like we're just going to extract as much out of you as we can. Kelly, you go, and then I'll go.
I just want to address, because I know that Nick and Brett are having this conversation that, you know, speaking online and speaking on stage are completely different things. Yeah. For people that are a bit hesitant, for our speakers who maybe have not done a digital gig at the moment, what would you say are some of the benefits that come from speaking digitally, Jason, in your opinion?
Well, one of the things that I want to recognize, and I believe it was Brett that said it a little bit ago, is the authenticity is the key. And that really shows up no matter how you speak or where you speak. And being able to be in that authentic space and just be yourself, because I like I tell a lot of people, trying to be somebody other than me just makes me tired. Yes. Just as soon just be the authentic person that I am, and then, you know, you like me, you don't, that I have no control over that. But if I'm real, then I'm showing up the way that I mean to, in the best way possible. And that really can translate very well over any platform. So the advantages, the kind of bullet point advantages of the digital world are the accessibility. Right. The commute is considerably shorter.
From your bedroom to your lounge.
The learning curve of what you need to get there. Once you have it, you have it. Yes. Right. Like once you have the camera, you have a ring light, you've got a decent microphone. Like you don't really need much more than that. But, you know, put on a clean shirt. Right, and have some kind of decent background that doesn't look like you. Don't do it from your bedroom, folks. It's not a good look. To be in a, you know, you have versatility. You can do things from outside. You can do it on your terms, and that's one of the, to steal a little bit from Speaker Insight. That's one of the things I really push with this platform, and doing things digitally is do it on your terms.
Yeah.
Do it in a way that works for you. You don't have to adapt and do what everybody else does.
Yeah.
How can you make it yours and do it your way? Because that uniqueness really does shine through now, because you're not, if you're different in the way you do things, people are going to notice that even more, because they're seeing a lot more presentations because they are able to, right? In a lot of different places, they're learning from different countries they never tapped into before. And those are the advantages for everybody. Right? And if you have an expertise, it doesn't matter what it is. Someone needs you to share that.
Yes.
And now you can tap in anywhere.
And then what I like about that mindset, Jason, is the fact that, you know, people are needing to think about how they do their stuff differently so they stand out. Before, it was like your content, and your content's still obviously the most important thing that connects. But then not being that bobblehead in Zoom is like, how are you going to deliver it differently? But the beauty is that you've got so many more opportunities now to test that out. You might be doing a free gig just to test out, is this going to work this way? And before, you didn't have as many opportunities, or you might not have given yourself that because you don't take that paid gig, and you probably got in your comfort zone from a presenter of how you're doing stuff. So I think, you know, and adding to your points, I think the reach, Helena mentioned it earlier, that, you know, having 100 people in a room to like 10,000 online, that's like overnight jump for you. But also you don't have the seeing 10,000 people, you still you just see you in your bobblehead. I think when people are using speaker as a lead generation, then it's made it a lot easier for people because of these platforms where you can have your speaker booths or your lead magnet. I know I spoke on something on Hey Summit the other day, and they had my lead magnet on the side of my talk while I was talking. And so these platforms are, rather than just say from stage, if you want to they've already got the links and everything on their screen ready to go. So it makes that process so much smoother and easy for you to lead gen or sell. You going to say, Helena?
Go. Jason, you go.
One of the greatest advantages that we don't always recognize is that and we're experiencing it right now, is it's being recorded. It's so easy. You push a button, it's recorded, which means you've got reusable content. Every time you present, you're getting a speaker reel, and it's free. What?
That's exactly my point. So I've had so many people go to me, because obviously we make sure that our speakers have show reels, and then there are quite a format of what we say goes in a show reel, and we've got training in the hub if you want that. But what I'm saying to people now is, in your show reel, demonstrate your online ability, right? So how can you add into your show reel footage how you've delivered this way, whether it's you're actually sharing the screen with all the heads and your bit, whether you've got a camera actually filming you do that in your setup so you can see the professionalism of your setup. That needs to now go in your show reel, because digital is going to be a part of the future. So they want to have confidence in your ability, in your tech, and your evidence that you've spoken digitally and you've got a great success. So I'm so glad you made that point, Jason.
Yeah, and it really is, you know. So I've just added in what makes a good speaker show reel, and I will caveat this with, we made this pre-COVID-19.
2 years ago.
So it was around about the 4th Facebook Live we ever did, you know, sort of like a far cry from the 8,000 people that are now kind of in here. But the information still stands, and again, it's this whole keeping up with the time. So I'm aware of time, so I am just going to ask this. So Jason, I know you've been spending most of your time speaking to people who are members of the PSA about what goes on. So what have you heard, you know, sort of what are some of those pitfalls that people really should be aware of if they're kind of starting out, like Teresa is just starting out. She's been watching avidly this, you know, what should they be watching out for around speaking professionally in their online gigs? Yeah, digitally.
Well, one of the biggest thing is that term mind flex.
Yeah.
And if you are caught in a mindset, you're not getting outside and getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
Right. And recognizing that there is opportunity. It maybe doesn't look the same as it did before. Maybe the tech is a little scary, but maybe the room was a little scary before. Like you said, Kelly, you're not seeing 10,000 people, but now you can speak to them like you're speaking to 5.
Yeah.
So there really are there's advantages, but to not underestimate your message and your value. And I think that goes anyway, but especially in this environment, your value, it matters. And like I said earlier, if you've got expertise, because you do, even if you're not a speaker, you're an expert at something. Yeah. We all are. You're at least an expert at being you, which nobody else is, right? So you have something to offer. And if you're just real about that and deliver it that way, people respond, they connect, they understand, they relate. And that's what we're really after here. Is how do we impact and how do we make a difference in a world that needs leadership, that needs examples of how to do things, and to say, I fell on my face, I fell down, it was terrible. Yeah. I had to go back and tell people that I failed, but I'm regrouping and I'm going to try again, and I've learned, and that really is the pattern of growth that we experience. Just because it doesn't work the first time doesn't mean it won't work. So if you've got something to deliver, you've got something to share, believe in that, believe in yourself enough to try it. And you like you guys just said, you look back at that Facebook Live from 2 years ago and how different it is now and how it's evolved. That didn't happen overnight. Cool. It took some time to get to that point. So allow that growth.
The bit that goes through is what you said, Jason. People need to cut through the noise of so much online now, but you cut through the noise with connection.
Yeah,
that's the thing that people are craving for, because there is so much. They're zoomed out. We've got Zoom fatigue as probably the new illness, right?
Yeah.
The thing that people will still go on and do is when there's that true connection, where you are living on purpose, when you've got that meaning and you really care, you've got that authenticity, that integrity, and you're doing it for the greater good of other, not just because you're filling your diary with stuff.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
And gigs. Because I think that's one of the things that I've seen is there are so many people. I've got a survey now that I ask people to complete if they want me to go and do a summit, because everyone goes, can you do a summit? And lots of people have said yes. And they said yes to too much stuff.
Yeah.
Whether the avatar wasn't right for them, whether the size audience wasn't big enough, and they've just actually done stuff that they would not have normally done out of COVID.
And the thing, you have to be discerning. You have to still do what's in alignment for you. You still have to do the thing that lines up with what your purpose is, what your key message is, still needs to be relatable to the name of the conference that you're doing, whether it's online or offline in some way. So that makes, just a lot of sense. And it's interesting. I will just say this around the Connection Hub, sort of, we named the Connection Hub exactly that, because of this authentic connection between speakers, authors, coaches, and their audiences. But a lot of people are actually actively taking the opportunity. So for those of you who aren't in there, please do come in. And there are a lot of conversations that people are asking the question of, how do I do this bit better? How do I get better at this? And exactly what you're talking about. So learning from those people who are managing to show up authentically, who are using this as an opportunity, and actively learning in that way. So please do come and join us in there. And Kathy's just said, Jason, your message resonates with me so very much. Don't underestimate my value and message. My pause to heal is not a fail. Thank you for the reminder. So, that just says everything to me.
And just to go back, because these are things, and I'm always going to come back to the practical. You guys can have your connection fest going off, and I'm going to come back to the technical.
Hello.
But
there are words I could use right now, Kelly Tyler.
There's just some things I want to highlight to people, especially, I can't remember who it was that was new to this world, that she was learning the tech stuff. Teresa, right? So for people, these are the things I just want to highlight from what I've experienced with some of my speakers as the pitfalls, right? Yeah. One, this is the time, if this is for paid speakers, probably more than anyone, this is the time that speaking contracts are needed more than ever. Yes. Okay? Because one of the things in there that we've had to adapt all of our speaking contracts for is that what Jason said about the recording, what permission is that event organizer, corporate got to be able to do with your footage afterwards? Because if I was doing a normal speaking gig and then they would be able to give it to their whole, SLT training team, that would be another couple of zeros on their keynote fee if they were going to use that footage as well as the live event. Yeah. So Contracts are really important now to make sure from IP perspectives, but also how things are run, because there's a lot more behind the scenes stuff that needs to be considered.
Yeah.
Secondly, like Jason said, it's tech. You're going to have to learn the platforms. Some of the platforms we've spoken about, even if it's just Zoom, we've got 2-hour-long Zoom training in the Connect
find that one
how
too.
to learn how to do all the whiteboards and the interaction. We've done all that for you if that's one of the things, but you have to practice. And if tech's not your thing, you might have to get that assistant to come and help you out in those keynotes if that's what's needed.
Yeah.
Make sure your professional settings set up, as Jason said, you know, lots of people are using the green screens now, or you just set it up so it doesn't look like you've got your bedroom and your nanny on the back door or whatever. You've got to set it up professionally. And this is my last thing, plug into the Ethernet. Do not rely on your Wi-Fi, okay? That's the most important thing that most people don't think about, is that they go live with their Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is being so more used at the moment that you need the securest connection as possible, and that's plugging straight into your router.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Do you guys say router or router?
I say router now.
Okay. So it's Australians that must say router. I can't remember, but anyway.
Yeah, we do say router, but it sounds cooler when you say it.
Router.
It's true.
Plug straight in via your Ethernet connection to get the most stable, because that's the worst thing that will happen, is that you've got bad sound, bad mic, and bad connection. So they're my top tips for the pitfalls.
Yeah, and I would definitely kind of echo all of those and have a backup. So you know, sort of for all of you, whether it's a second microphone that isn't nearly as good. So you know, sort of like, so the headset that I'm wearing, I've got a microphone, I've got all sorts of things that are actively kind of here. But having a backup, I even have a little portable dongle so that if the Wi-Fi does give up, or you know, the Ethernet connection does fall down, I've got my dongle. So because there is a responsibility that we have as speakers, as the deliverer, for us to be as good as we can possibly be, so that we are showing up able to share our magic, able to share our impact and create that impact that we're wanting. So really, that's kind of how it is. Now, we absolutely need to let people go.
But we just need to. I know we started with this, Jason, but I just want you, because there's some people that have joined late. Tell them a little bit about the upcoming PSA conference. I'll put the link in again for people to register for free.
Yeah.
But just what are some of the topics that some of the speakers are talking about? Let's see what you can offer them.
Well, when we talk about what the subjects are, the easiest way to outline that is the 3 individual days. On the day of Insight, we have folks that are helping you understand where are you at right now, what place are you in, and being accepting of that, and also at the same time being able to go to the next place, right?
So
and giving yourself that permission, that insight. And I mean, there's the agenda is already there. And we've got over 30 speakers, so there's quite an opportunity of different things to get to right away. I mean, there's talks about productivity, beating stress. We've also got some networking kind of woven into the mix of each of the days, how to step up your presentations and make them extraordinary. And it's you know, the day of Insight is really around where are you at and where do you want to go.
Nice.
The day of Magic is things like the art of getting booked everywhere. Right? How can you really crack that open? How do we draw back the curtain and say, this is what you need to know? Here's the inside info. Secrets of building a profitable speaking business. We've talked a lot today about keynotes and how can you get to that place? Because ultimately, I mean, for a lot of speakers, that's the goal. And what do you need to build to do that? What are the steps, right? Yeah. Publicity, the magic of publicity. Jill Lublin's going to be presenting on that. And she's just fantastic with PR. And here's the secret tips that are already available to you that you just don't know about, right? And that's really understanding the magic. And then day 3 is action. What do you do with this stuff? Do you have a book in you, and how do you get it out of you? What do you need to do to get there? How do you protect your intellectual property? What actions do you need to take to make that happen? How do you institute positive change by modeling that behavior yourself? How do you, there's so many ways to take the next step.
Truly.
And it's got to fit with what you're doing, which is why I brought in so many different speakers.
Yeah.
And so many different subjects, because maybe you want to do a podcast, but you don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
And here's my invitation. The thing is, you might actually choose to attend. I know, I love it. I absolutely love it. And that's the whole point, right? To get you excited about it. And sometimes I think people can go into overwhelm at, oh my gosh, there's such a selection. But the great thing about using something like a Hoover platform is people can actually look beforehand and go, what is the thing? And this is what Kelly and I absolutely say, what is the just in time needed thing in your business right now? What are the 3 talks that you would most love to kind of gain value from, even 1 per day, that allows you to actively experience the conference and someone within it that has what you need right now in your business. So I'm really appreciative that you are putting this on.
And remind me, Jason, because I actually don't know the answer to this question, but do PSA members get the recordings for after the event, or is everyone just watching it live?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that, because I was trying to wait, I gotta tell you this. You can, and this is so funny when I say it, it's going to make probably everybody laugh a little bit, is that you can join the traditional Zoom way.
Yeah.
Right? You can go through good old Zoom if that's what you want to do.
So old
that exists. And we still use that as the streaming platform, but it goes directly into Hoover.
Yeah.
And you can react in real time and watch it in real time on the platform, but it's automatically already there. So if you had something going on at the end of day 1 and you missed a presentation, you can go back for several months and see it again. Repurchase content. Yeah.
That's the one. That's what I absolutely love about it. So when you go into it, I highly recommend every single soul kind of does actually attend and sign up, just so that you begin again to get the experience. I'm always going to say, step into the shoes of someone who is receiving you, be that person, so you know how to make your stuff even better. Jason,
we've got people that are excited to about the conference, getting tools together for an even more impactful presentation. So it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to being on, watching as much of it as part of, and being on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock my time, I think it is. We'll try to work out the American and the UK times, but we're doing it so I don't have to get at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Which is good. So thank you.
Thank you for the platform and the opportunity and the discussion, and it's so much fun to work with you guys. And Kelly, having met you in person and getting to work with you, it's exactly the same energy in person. And Helena, you come across with this just amazing thought about everything. I just really enjoy what you guys do, and I love being a member in the multiple groups that you guys offer. And I'm honored that you took the time to allow me to share with your community. And for all the right reasons, please get signed up and join us for a way to do a conference on your terms. To participate and be active and get connected and interact. And even if all you do is show up to see what's there, to get registered, it's absolutely worth the time investment. So thank you so much for allowing this to happen today.
You are so welcome. Take care, everyone. Have a good evening, day, wherever you are in the world. And remember a #replay if you're joining us later. Many blessings to you all. Bye.
Bye.